Hey guys, my name's Matt. I work at the Colton RV parts department here in North Tonawanda. Congratulations on your new 2020 Tiffin Allegro 36UA. Today we're going to do a walk around it and show you how everything works, what's behind all the compartments, how to use it, and all of that fun stuff. So we'll start on the outside of it and then hop on inside, take a look around, kind of go from there, okay? So behind the first door, we have a couple things going on. We have tons of storage, and if you see, that'll cut all the way through. So longer items you can store and take with you. You are also given a couple extra floor tiles, just in case anything happens to the ones that you have some replacements. Okay, and on the right side, you have two sources of power, 12 volt and 110. The reason they give you some 12 volt power is because a lot of people like to bring 12 volt TVs, 12 volt coolers, refrigerators, that kind of thing. So a lot of things RV related will run on that power, so it's nice to have. Okay, second storage compartment, this is tied in with the third as well. Tons of storage. It is all the way through once again as well. You'll see down in the first of the two, this is where all of your vacuum supplies is going to be. Okay, that's all hooked up on the inside where you can use it in there. So inside this storage compartment, this is where your central vac lives. This is where you're going to replace the bag. Just give a pull up on that tab, drop the panel out, and you can see where the bag attaches up top. Okay, so pretty neat, really convenient spot. And that's all there is to it. Like I said, the vacuum attachments, those are operated from the inside, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Couple appliances on this side. This first one here, this is going to be the furnace. Mainly the furnace exhaust, okay? Really no maintenance on the outside. It's all controlled from the inside. The only thing you're going to want to take a look out for is inside these little exhaust ports. Bees and spiders typically are going to want to nest in there. So if you can, keep it clean, take a vacuum to it. You don't want them to gum up the works. Of course, you have your outside TV and outside sound bar. Now, this TV is going to talk inside to the onboard antenna, the onboard satellite, and Blu-ray player, which is in the bedroom. We'll demo all of that once we get inside, but just know that it is tied into every single other appliance, okay? Now your third door, not too much going on. This is the backside to your fridge. Really access if a technician had to get back there for something and diagnose a problem, what have you, but that's really all there is. You can see a shut off for the water line. If you were going to winterize, you could use that, but nothing you're really going to have to get back here for. Behind this little compartment, you guys have two ways of filling up your water tank. You could do it with a gravity fill behind this compartment. You just pop the cap open, okay, stick a water hose in there and fill up the tank. It'll spit back at you when it's full. That's how you know when to stop. Get yourself a RV Marine drinking hose, one that is drink safe, lead free, and FDA approved if you plan on drinking from your freshwater tank. All right. I'm gonna lock that up. Speaking of the water tank, that is what is behind this door. So not too much going on besides that. Massive water tank. You'll see on the bottom right hand corner that red ball valve. If you twist that, that's going to allow you to drain all of the water out of the freshwater tank. So if you wanted to travel empty to save weight or gas mileage, you could do so. On the left side, you'll see three black little boxes there. Those are just your tank levels. So inside you can keep an eye on how full the freshwater tank is and kind of manage your water a little bit better. So in this storage bay, of course, we have a little bit more storage. Okay, on the top right hand side, you have a bay light. We haven't talked about that yet, but most of your storage bays are going to have an LED light down there. It's three-way. It can either be on, off, or motion sensor. Okay, and like I said, that goes for a lot of your storage bays, including this one here. On the top left side, you'll see that you have your electric slide out control. Okay, the reason that's down there is because this back slide is ran by Lippert's Schwintek slide. And how it works, there's a motor on each side of it. And that's what helps pull out the slide and push it back in. Okay, if those motors ever get untimed and the slide starts to come out maybe a little bit crooked, there's a way you can fix that. On this slide out box, I know it's tough to see, there's a button in there. You would click it 6 times, hold on the 7th until the light flashes green, and then from there it should reset the timing on the motors, in which case you can go inside, use your normal slide out controls to run the slide. There's instructions on there. Okay, I know it's tough to see right now. I just wanted to show you this door up top here. Really not too much going on, but good to take a look behind. Just some water lines, hot and cold. Those lead to the bathroom. All right, so nothing you're going to have to get behind here for, but at least it's good to know. This is your propane tank. It is stationary, it stays on the coach. You're not gonna take this off to go get it filled. You would take it to local RV dealers. We fill propane here. I think some U-Hauls do it. The fill nozzle is up on the top, and whoever's filling this, typically the place of business, they know what to do. You have a fill valve, a gauge, and a pressure relief. Typically nothing you'll mess with on a day-to-day basis. The main thing you're going to do is crack open the tank by twisting this valve to the left, and that's open now, so we're not going to do that. Another thing about your propane tank is the fill gauge. Typically it's never going to register as full. It'll max out at 3/4. So if you ever go to get your propane tank filled and it only says 3/4 of the way there, don't be alarmed. That's just how it is. Okay. Also too, a lot more storage. This one goes all the way through once again. So, pretty nice to have. This bay, even more storage up on top. You have an LED light up on top. Okay. That is also a motion sensor light. By the way, on the switches, the double dash is what denotes as motion sensor. So if you like that option, keep it on there. This is your dog bone or adapter. It's a 50 to a 30, allowing you to plug into more campsites. And also in this bay is where the house batteries live. So this is on a nice pull-out tray. You can see you have the 4 house batteries, lead acid. So you're gonna wanna pop these open and check the levels of the fluid periodically to make sure they're in good health. Tiffin does have a reminder on here. Do not allow batteries to freeze. That's a very important thing. Fully charged batteries will not freeze, so if you leave your coach plugged in, that shouldn't be an issue. So just keep that in mind. If you plan on storing the RV for long periods of time, you do have a house battery master switch down here. By turning that to the off position, it's essentially like taking the terminals right off of the batteries. Okay, it takes them out of the equation. Nothing goes in, nothing goes out. So that should hopefully prevent them from freezing. Above that, same style switch, that's for the inverter. And we'll see that on the other side and talk a little bit more about that. But those are your master switches to shut both of those off. Up top here, same thing. You have 2 furnaces on board. The one back here and the one that we already talked about up front. Same thing on the outside, given a nice visual inspection that there's no bees or spiders' nests inside there. They can gum up the works, maybe even cause a fire, so be careful. If you wanted to prevent that, maybe just invest in the bug screens that cover over top of them. Should help you keep them out. Up top, you have your backup camera. That'll talk to a screen that sits up in the dash. Okay, it's also going to talk to your driver's side and passenger side cameras as well. We'll talk more about that in just a little bit, but that is where the backup camera is. You also have a full-length ladder. You will want to hop up on the roof a couple times a year. Take a look at all the seals up there. They go around the roof vents, sewer vents, satellites, anything that has to be drilled through the roof. There's a lap sealant up there that's used to keep water out. Over time, those seals are going to dry rot and start to open due to UV rays. So you want to keep a head on those, go over top of it with some more lap sealant just to keep water from entering the coach. Okay. Down below you have a Class 3 hitch and 7-way plug. So you have your main setup down here if you planned on using a tow dolly to tow a car, or maybe get a flat tow system set up, or even a flat bed with a car up on all 4 wheels. So you have your system back here all set, ready to go. And then of course, fuel fill, which is in the very back, which is nice. It's not on one side versus the other, so you don't have to go swing 36 plus feet around at a gas station to go fill your tank. All right. So this is your hot water tank. 2 little pins on the bottom. It just sits on that and pops off. Couple things going on back here that you're going to want to know. First one, the anode rod. It's not in now because we are winterized. There's no water in the tank. But this anode rod is going to be placed in where the drain plug is, twisted in. That's going to allow your tank to fill. Over time, this anode rod, the purpose of it is the hardness of the water is going to chew away at this instead of chewing away the inside of the hot water tank, okay? So this is something that has to be replaced typically once a year. And it's gonna erode from the bottom, all right? It's completely normal. But once a year, typically replace this to keep your hot water tank looking new. Other than that, you have an on-off switch in the bottom left-hand corner. By turning that on, it allows you to work the electric element of the hot water tank, and that's all controlled from the inside. Okay, so if you want to use the electric element, flick this on, and then we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a bit. So you have more storage, and this is the opposite side of the storage bays that we looked at just a bit ago. On the right-hand side, you're going to have your inverter. Now what the inverter does is it takes 12-volt battery power and inverts it to 110, so your fridge and some outlets can work while you're going down the road. You don't have to be plugged in to use those appliances. Next, storage compartment, a little bit of space on top, okay? Also, this is where the generator stays. Generator power emulates plug power. So in times that you're not going to be plugged in, say maybe Walmart parking lot, and you want to run appliances like the microwave, like the ACs, that's where the generator is going to come into play. Okay, there's 2 ways you can start it, from a switch on the inside or outside. By starting it from the outside, we're just gonna pull this cover off. Set that down. Left-hand side, there's a start-stop. We're gonna hold down on stop until this red LED lights up. You can hear it priming. Give that a hold for a couple seconds and come back over to start. So yeah, we started it up, we shut it off. Stop button is on the bottom, you just click it once. Generator powers down. Same on that panel, you have some breakers. Occasionally these will pop, just like that. If that does happen, the generator will not supply power to the coach. So for some reason that's the issue. Come out here, take a look at them. Just make sure the breakers are in the on position, okay? Other than that, you can take a look at the oil life with this dipstick right here. You twist that off and pull it out, you can take a look at the oil. This just pops on. There's little hinges on the bottom. Sets on that rubber gasket and presses into place. This compartment is your power bay. This is where your 50 amp power cable is going to be raveled up and stored in. This runs through your transfer switch and amperage surge protector. So that transfer switch, what it will do, in this case right now, we started up the generator. It will automatically start pulling power from the generator, instead of the plug. It favors it. So it does it all automatically. Doesn't hurt anything to do it. Just know that's what it does. So this is the wet bay. There's a lot of stuff going on in here. This is where you're going to hook up your city water connection. This is where you're going to dump your tanks, change your water filter, even winterize the coach. So let's take a look at all the functions that we have. Starting from the top left side, we have 2 coaxial cables, 2 coaxial inputs. The first one is for cable. The campsite offers cable. You can run it up, plug it in there, and that'll give you cable TV. The next one is tripod satellite. So same thing, you can set up a tripod satellite outside, set up a receiver inside, subscribe to a service, and get satellite TV inside your coach additional to what you already have on the roof. Underneath that, you have some plugs. To the right, you have a water heater bypass valve. The reason behind this is solely for winterizing the unit. When you pump antifreeze through the coach, you don't want to pump antifreeze into the hot water tank, so you can bypass it so it goes to all the fixtures instead. Okay? Outside shower, hot and cold. The hose head is down there. And then in the top right, you have a light switch and a water pump. Okay? Now a couple things, like we talked about, this is where you're going to hook up your city water connection. Say you go to a campsite and they offer water, you're gonna hook up your drink safe water hose to this fitting right here. Cool thing is you can run it through this little fitting, okay? This way you can keep your door closed. But hook up your water hose, that'll supply water and pressure to the coach, completely bypasses the tank on the other side. Alrighty. Now when you're hooked up, make sure you have a water pressure regulator in line with your water hose so the pressure does not get too high for the coach to use. Okay, it's actually right up here, 65 psi or below. Okay. Now if you wanted to fill the fresh water tank from this same fitting, you could. That's done from this valve on the right side. All you would do is pull that down to tank fill. Now it bypasses the fixtures and it goes right to the water tank. So this side or the other side, whichever you find easier. But we're gonna leave that on city water, so we could use the water inside if need be. That guy I just put up on the valve, that's going to be a wrench to pop open the water filter. All right. And other than that, you have your dump station. So down here you have your sewer outlet. This is where you're going to discharge your black and your gray tank. Now black tank is anything that goes down the toilet. Gray tank is anything that goes down the sinks or the showers. So soapy, cleanish water. Okay. What you're going to do is pop this valve off, hook up your sewer hose to this fitting here. It's a universal fit. Okay. And run that sewer hose to a dump station, which is no more than a hole in the ground. First thing you're going to want to do is pull your black tank valve. That's going to empty everything out from the black tank. Okay. Now you can imagine over time the black tank might get a little gross. That's why Tiffin gives you this black tank flush valve. If you hook up a water hose to this, it'll actually spray out the inside of the black tank, keeping it a little bit cleaner. Once that's all emptied out and running nice and clean, close your black tank valve and then give your gray tank valve a pull. The purpose of that order is to keep your sewer hose a little bit cleaner. Okay? That's really the bulk of it. If you were hooked up at a site that had sewer on site, you could pivot this head down, open up the gate valve on the bottom, and now run it out from outside the baggage door so you can keep it closed while you're camping. Down here, this is your water pump on the right side. We can turn it on from the switch up on top. This is really going to be used for winterizing the unit. There's a valve on the back here that you can unscrew, hook up a different water hose to this, and that'll run out and drop into a gallon of antifreeze sitting right outside the unit. The purpose of that is for when you turn on the water pump, instead of pulling from the freshwater tank, it's now going to pull from the gallon of antifreeze and pump it through the coach when you turn on the fixtures inside. So it's quick and it's easy. Right next to it, you have your cold line and hot line low point drains. Turn those and it's going to drain out the water in the, from the lowest point in the hot and cold water lines, once again just used for winterization. A little bit of storage, same thing. This is going to connect to the second bay. There's an LED light in there, it's all motion sensor. That's all that we have going on in there. Next bay, not so much storage, but this is where your hydraulic pump stays at. Okay, this is going to run the main slide. It's also going to run your 4 hydraulic jacks. You're going to want to keep an eye on the level from time to time just to make sure it is, you know, where it's supposed to be. Right now it says full, but as we pull out the slide and lower the jacks, that level is going to get lower, so don't be alarmed. A little bit of storage. Top of it you have some fuses, actually more or less breakers, for the chassis and some of the house components. If something ever pops, these buttons just push right out you'd come out here and push that button right back in to reset your fuse. Okay. So the engine compartment, there's a little latch right about midway. You're gonna push that to the right and give a pull. It's gonna pop open the engine compartment. This is your engine compartment. Really not a whole ton going on, but it's a good place where you can keep an eye on all the essentials. You can keep an eye on your coolant levels, transmission fluid, okay? This is your air filter. On the right side, you have your engine oil dipstick and also your brake fluid. So, main things pulled forward. You also have your wiper fluid down below. And on the far left side, your chassis battery. So on this panel, I know you can't really see it right now, is where you are going to operate the patio awning. Okay, there's a couple other switches on here as well, light switches, battery disconnect. We'll talk about that in a minute. As for right now, let's extend the awning. I'm gonna click and hold on extend. So that's your awning. We've extended that all the way. You can tell when it's open all the way when that little flap at the end comes down. We also have an awning light and a porch light on this panel. And that's the main points. If it gets too windy, pull it in. There's no automatic sensor that is going to pull this awning in for you. So play it safe rather than sorry. But to bring it in, same thing. We're gonna click and hold on retract. The whole awning is gonna come in. So this is that panel we talked about briefly where your patio awning extend and retract is located. But also on this panel, you're going to have some light switches, like your floor light, your main ceiling light up above, entry light right above us, the outside lights, your porch and awning light, okay? And then the master light, which is going to shut off all of the main lights in the entire coach. Bottom left, this is your battery disconnect. Likewise, it's similar to the one outside. If you click off, it takes the batteries out of the equation. No charging, no discharging for the most part. It's used for when you want to store the coach and not kill the batteries. To the right of that is the automatic step function. So right now, if I open this door, the steps are going to take a couple seconds to roll out. If you didn't like waiting for that, you could flip the switch and the steps would stay out either until you turn the key into the on position or flip the switch back. It's just a convenience thing, so you don't have to wait. Down below, central vac. The supplies we saw outside in the storage bay, you just plug the hose into there, it automatically kicks on, and now you can vacuum the coach. To the right of that, you have your RV carbon monoxide and propane leak detector. Now this is hardwired to the main batteries, so you don't have to worry about changing those batteries in it. It's always connected and working as long as your batteries are charged up. So right now we are in the very back of the coach. This is going to be your master bathroom, of course, where your shower is located. In the shower, you have a nice little pull shade with an LED light on it for privacy. Inside, you have your shower head with an on and off switch on it to save water when you're dry camping. And that the shower head also telescopes up and down as well on that pole. Hot and cold water, of course. And then your tri-fold or tri-slide glass shower door with latch for travel. Lots of storage for linens, bath towels, what have you. And a nice towel rack and hand towel rack. This toilet back here, since it does not sit directly over the black tank, it does need to be pumped to the tank up front. That is done from this control panel right here. There's two buttons on it, one to fill the water, one to flush. Okay? And that's all there is to it. To the right of that, you have a GFCI power outlet and a toilet paper holder right next to that. Lots more storage. Tons of counter space too. You also have an outlet up above that and a nice porcelain sink. More storage down below and to the right. Okay. Now on this same wall, we're going to have the bathroom control panel where you have bathroom lights, the water pump, which we saw outside, and then the vent fan and vent fan lid. So if we click that, we open up the vent on the roof. We're going to turn the fan on with that same switch. couple more controls on the face itself. We have temperature control, variable speed, and variable direction as well. So you can either pull air in or push air out. We're gonna close that down on the same panel. Moving forward now, we are in the master bedroom. This bed is in a slide, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit, but it's slid out right now. On each side of the bed, you have 12 volt power, 110 power, and then reading lights, which are LEDs, which are controlled all on their own switch. All the linens come with it. On the left side, we'll have a little control panel. A few things on there. You will have bedroom lights, hall lights, the fan speed in the bedroom, light master, a couple lights. Also underneath the bed, you have a little bit of storage. Okay, and those are on little struts too, so it's really easy to lift up, really easy to push down. Opposite of that, we have some storage. Okay, little light clicks on too when you open it up. Okay, underneath more storage, all of that bottom section, that's all storage for you. This is where like a lot of your entertainment center appliances are going to be. Of course, a TV, satellite receiver, and Blu-ray player. Now these are going to talk to all of your TVs. So the Blu-ray player can be watched on the outside TV, any of the TVs, and it can be controlled from any location as well. So these little infrared eyes are located around the coach, so you can turn it on anywhere. You can watch, say, Blu-ray on the outside TV, you can watch antenna on this TV, and then satellite on the front TV. They're all connected, they can all do their own thing. It's a pretty good system. Moving forward, another little control panel, just some bedroom lights, hall lights, fan speed. Also on here you will have your bed slide, extend, and retract. This is one of two locations you can control it from. There's a panel up front too that we'll talk about in a minute. Next to that we have the bunks. And those just slide open. Really smooth. They're on these little swing arms. Each bunk has USB plugs on the top and the bottom. They also have their own window which opens. If you don't plan on using the bunks, you can lift them up. And there's a latch on the right side, and you can now use this as a little bit of closet space. Okay, little LED light. It's a neat little setup. We'll close these. Across from the bunks, we have your half bath. Okay, toilet, sink, and some controls on the left side as well. Plenty of storage. You also have another vent fan in this bathroom, just like the one we saw in the back. So same operation, same thing. Okay. Moving forward a little bit, you have your fireplace. You can power it on. And this is actually going to throw some good heat. So on a day where it's kind of chilly outside, maybe like in the 50s, and you didn't want to burn propane through the furnace, you could turn on the electric heat, and it's actually going to warm up the coach a good bit. You have sleep timer on there, different colors, and temperature control. So low, high, and that's throwing some heat right now. Right above your fireplace, you have your main TV. It's a Samsung. The other three TVs are LGs, but they're operated the same way. Right now we're going off of the antenna, so we're getting some local TV stations. A good amount as well, good picture. Anytime you go to a new campsite, you're going to want to channel scan in that location to get those local TV stations. What we're going to do is click Settings. We're going to scroll down into Broadcasting, click OK on Auto Program, and we would click Start. Okay? And what that's going to do, we're going to click Air. That's going to go through all the channels. It's going to find anything that's available and go from there. Next is your fully electric fridge. This is going to run off the battery and the inverter when you're traveling down the road. Okay, since it is fully electric. There's little latches on the left side here. If we pop those open, of course the doors will open. Top of the freezer, we have a little ice maker. When the wire is up, the ice maker is off. Vice versa, the ice maker turns on. Okay. Temperature control in the bottom. There's maximum, recommended, and minimum, so we have it set on there. The recommended right now. There we go. Same thing with the fridge. Temperature settings on the top there to keep your fridge at a certain temp. Okay. In the kitchen, we have your sink and removable covers. So it's a dual bay sink with retractable faucet and spray or like normal mode. Tons of storage. Okay. Storage up above the microwave and a little pull cabinet beside that. Inside the cabinet there, that's just some touch-up paint. Okay. So you also have a convection microwave. It defaults to microwave, so you just set your time like normal. But if you pan up to convection, it'll allow you to select your temperature, say 400. Click start, and it's going to start blowing around a lot of hot air and bake more like an oven than anything. So pretty neat little feature. You also have an oven down here below as well. Also in the kitchen area, you guys have your stove top. It's all propane. All you have to do is click down on these buttons here, click the sparker, and that's going to ignite your propane, in which case you can cook on. Next to that, you have a little power station with normal plugs and USB plugs. There's also another one up top here, and another one on the far side as well. So tons of plugs. So the oven has a sparker inside of it. So everything is controlled right from the face here. You're going to push this knob on the left in, click and hold, and you can hear the spark. Right now it's also putting propane into the oven, so that would light. From there, you just turn this knob like normal, and you get to select your temperature. Okay? On the right side of that, that is just a timer. So of course you can set your timer, know when your food is done. So across from the kitchen, you're going to have tons of storage overhead. Manuals are on the far right-hand side, that thick binder. This is just the box from your receiver, which is already installed in the back. And an air pump, which is used for the mattress, and I'm going to show you that now. Just going to pop off these cushions and set them aside. Okay, pull this little flap over, and there's a little lock release on the right-hand side that we're going to push in, which allows us to pull the trifold sofa out. Okay, 2 seat belts in the back, you can see. Now this is an air mattress, and how it works, the zippers up there are going to pull down, and it's going to release the port, the port where you're going to hook up that little air pump to. The air pump is going to plug into this left outlet here, and that's going to auto inflate the air mattress for you. Okay? When it's done, you just pop the port open, and it releases all of the air, in which case you can then fold this back into the couch. Next to the sofa, you also have your dinette, which folds down into a bed. The lever right here is just going to swap over to the other side, and this whole table is going to push down. You have these back cushions here, which detach, one on the other side, and that fills in your space to make this a complete bed. Underneath, you also have a little bit of storage on each side. One over here. Okay. And 2 seat belts on the further side of the dinette. So most of your windows are going to have solar and night shades. Just a pull down, solar, night. Okay. And this is your one fire exit. If you ever had to use it, hopefully not, you just pull up on the latches, and that is going to allow your window to, it's a tight seal at first, there we go, to swing open, okay, the entire window, and that's all there is to it. And this window can still be used as a normal screen, okay. It's a nice setup. Now this is your main control panel. Okay, this is going to control the majority of your coach. This is the home page. You can see down here which page we're on. This gives you a nice overview of everything that we can go in. Each little tab on the bottom gives us a more in-depth view. But on the home page, we can see some lights. We can see zone heat and temperature. We can operate our hot water tank either on electric or gas, turn on the water pump, monitor our tank levels, and even start the generator and check our battery health. But as we click into each panel, it breaks it down a little bit more. We can see all of our lights. We can see our HVAC control, so this is AC and heat. So just to show you how this works, front zone and rear zone. In the front zone, say we wanted to run the furnace, we would just click furnace, turn up the temperature above 78, and that would kick the furnace on for us. Granted, you have your propane open. Same thing with the heat pump. If you wanted to run the heat pump and the AC, they're all controlled from this panel here. Same thing for the back zone. Now your fan speed on the right side of each zone, it's best to just leave that on auto. This way your furnace and your air conditioner turns on and off as it should based off your temperature setting. Okay? Next one, this is all of your fans. So those fantastic fans that we saw in the mid bath and the back bath and one in the kitchen as well can all be opened up from right here and turned on. The ceiling fan as well, that's going to be the one in the main bedroom. This is all of your controls in one spot. The next tab is going to be your back slide out, the bed slide. Tiffin likes you to have the ignition on, start the engine, and also have the parking brake engaged. That is going to allow us to run these back slides, or backslide I should say. Okay. And then the last one, just a little bit of settings. You have screen brightness, your temperature units, and then really just a couple things like diagnostics a technician would use for, if he had to get in here. Really not much you're going to want to do in here, but that's a nice overview of this touch panel. It's really responsive. It's really easy to use. So both of your seats are power. Both of them are going to swivel. The swivel function is on the top here, but before we do that, I'm just going to unbuckle the seatbelt so that allows it to move freely. Now we can pull and give it a good turn. Just like that. And then to swing it back, it just twists back around, then it'll lock back in place. Okay? We're going to put the seat buckle back in. Both seats are power, like we said. Power front, power back, and then tilt as well. Okay? Now going into the cabin, we have a lot of switches. The good thing is they're all labeled. Okay? Starting on the left side here, we're going to have our mirror controls, so left and right with the direction. Mirror heat. Okay, we have a cup holder. On the left side, we have our generator start and stop. This is going to be used the same way as the one outside. We're going to hold down on stop until that light clicks on. Come over to start and click and hold. So I don't know if you can hear that, but the generator kicked on, and we know that because this light stays on. Okay, the power it down, same thing. We're just going to click the button. We can see how long the generator has ran for in this little meter. It's ran for 52 hours even. Beneath the generator hours, we have auxiliary start. That's going to be used in the scenario where if you can't start your engine because the chassis battery has died, you can click and hold aux start, crank the engine, you'll get a jump start from the house batteries. Okay? Up above is map light. You have headlights and dash dimmer. Okay? In the steering wheel, we have cruise control. We have our windshield wipers on the left side, as well as our turn signals, telescoping, pretty much a normal dash. Cool thing about the turn signals, right now we're looking at our backup camera. That's going to stay on all the time while we're going down the road, but when you want to merge lanes, when you hit that right turn signal, you're going to see what's going on the right side of you using those cameras in the mirrors. Same thing if we hit the left turn signal, we'll see what's going on beside us. So it's a pretty neat feature. Other switches up here, we have driver fan, high and low. We have a solar shade, which is in this the main window here. And we have the night shade, which we have down right now, so you can see that. The switch to the right is the radio and camera. It just allows us to turn on the radio and the camera when the ignition is off, so we can still use these functions without turning the key to accessory. Beside that, we have normal controls for the dash for your AC and your heat. This only works in the dash. You have some 12-volt cigarette lighters, USB plugs, some storage all throughout. So below all of these switches, we have your HWH Auto Leveling system. It's a great system. It's super easy. All you have to do is click Auto Level, and it's going to lower your hydraulic jacks, level the coach for you all by itself. Typically, if you're on unlevel ground, you're going to want to drop the jacks first before pulling out the slides. Right now, we're on level ground, so it's okay to have the slides out. But what we're going to do is make sure the e-brake is engaged, start the engine. Our panel is on. So what we're going to do is just give a click and hold to auto level. That blue light's going to turn on. Now we get a very loud dinging sound, but just to give you an idea what's going on, the red lights show which jacks are down. So we're going to have all 4 down in just a minute. And the orange light just shows where we are unlevel on. So those should disappear over time. So this dinging sound happens when we have our jacks down and the ignition is on. It's just a preventative so you don't drive away with your jacks down. You can do it, but that's just an alert not to. All 4 red LEDs lit up, meaning all of our jacks are down, and the auto leveling system has stopped. So right now we are level and good to go. To bring the jacks back up, what we're going to do is start the engine again. Make sure the e-brake is down. And we're going to click Auto Store. And you can see how the red LEDs start to disappear. That means our jacks are going back up into the store position. When it's done, the dinging stops, travel mode lights up, and we're good to go. So your dash radio, this works like a normal car radio. Okay, you're going to be able to connect to, your phone, so you can take calls. You can play music from your phone, that kind of thing. Sirius XM, if you liked that, you could set up this radio to do so. Power buttons in the bottom left. If you're going to use this when the ignition is in the off position, you can use this switch right here. So if we flick it down, it's just going to shut off the backup camera and the radio. So this is your liquid springs control panel. We're just going to power the system on so we can take a look at what we have going on. There's 2 functions, but mostly this system is automatic. What it does is when you're driving down the road, it's going to stabilize the ride and just make it a little bit more responsive. When you're riding down the road, these arrows here choose how you want that system to react. You can have it in comfort mode, normal, or sport. Sport's going to be the stiffest ride, meaning when you're traveling down the highway and a semi-truck goes blowing by you, you're not going to get that sway that you would normally get in a Class A because your suspension is a little bit stiffer due to liquid springs. Okay? So when you're driving sport mode, it's probably the best. Normal and comfort are just a little bit more forgiving. On the right side, height, when you're driving down the road at about 15 miles an hour, it's going to default back down to normal. Okay, it's just a safety thing. The reason you can adjust the height from high to low is if you're entering, say, a road that is really crowned or a campsite that is more unlevel, you can adjust the height of the rear so the back end of the coach isn't dragging down. This is also good for backing into driveways with a very, like a heavy slope, that kind of thing. So, but like I said, when you turn the key on and you hit about 15 miles an hour, it's going to default back down to normal for you. All right, and that's about it. It's a great system to have. This is your AGS system. AGS stands for Auto Gen Start. Okay, it's also where you turn on the charging system, which is run through the inverter, and the inverter itself. Okay, the inverter is used when you're traveling down the road and you want to run the outlets and the fridge off of that battery power. So we're going to leave it off right now. The charger is what charges your batteries when you're plugged in, so that should always be on. Okay, but from there, AGS, this button, if you click that, this is all of your settings that you can change to have your generator automatically start based off certain scenarios. Say you have low voltage in the batteries and you want the generator to start and charge those batteries, or if it's too hot in the coach, you could have the generator start, turn on the ACs, and cool down the coach. That's really useful for dog owners, that kind of thing. It gets pretty in depth. There's a cheat sheet right here that really breaks it down. I would take your time with this one, kind of go through all the panels and just kind of get a good feel for it, because it will be set up to your own preferences. So just take some time with this one. So now we're going to pull the slides in. What we're going to want to do is make sure that your e-brake is engaged, the engine is started up, okay? And we're also going to want to make sure that this back seat is pulled forward enough to where it actually avoids this slide here. And I think we're good, but we're just going to pull it up a bit more for safe measure. Okay. What we're going to do is the back slide first. We're going to walk back. Okay. And remember, we have slide out controls here and then also on the main panel. I like this panel because we can actually see what's going on. Give a nice inspection, make sure there's no cabinets open, there's nothing out on the ground. Same thing on this side, okay? What we're going to do is click bed slide, retract. Now that's gonna bring our bed slide in completely, okay? Now the thing with these slides, remember these are electric slides. We don't wanna let off on the switch and stop in the middle because it can untime the motors, and now your slide's gonna come in a little bit crooked, which isn't good. So we're gonna click and hold the entire time. Wait for it to come in. And then when it comes in all the way, we're gonna hold the button an extra about 5 seconds just to make sure the motors are completely in on both sides. Last thing here, we have your hydraulic slide in the front. Now this is a full wall slide. So once again, give a nice visual inspection of everything down the coach. Make sure there's nothing in the way, no cabinets open. This slide switch is on the seat. This way we can make sure that there is no clearance issues between the slide out and the back seat. We're gonna click and hold retract. That's gonna bring in your entire slide. Congratulations again on your purchase of the 2020 Tiffin Allegro 36UA. I hope you have a good time with it. If you have any questions, feel free to call into Colton RV. My name's Matt. I work in the parts department and I can help you out. Thanks again and have fun.